And in this practice, you can give yourself a little permission to notice. I've been thinking a lot about music. I feel really privileged to be spending more time singing and making music. One of my friends, students and teachers, David, who teaches Yoga Nidra on Sunday nights, mentioned to me that he saw a vision of me singing. And I thought to myself, well, no matter what that means, it might be nice just to spend some more time doing it and see how I feel about it. And chanting is part of my yoga practice, which is why I chant at the end when I'm teaching as well. But vibration has always been a part of Tantra, of this idea of sort of the body as resonance. If you think about it from a physics perspective, and I always try to keep that within my understanding, which is limited also, and some of you may know much more about it than I do. But really, everything is just a fluctuating energy, everything that we're around. And anything that seems solid is just moving slower, right? So we live in this constant state of fluctuation, of resonance, of vibration. And that's how music moves in waves. Mechanical energy, sound moves through space. Usually we call it mechanical because you think of like a drum. You know, you hit the drum, that two things hitting each other, that's the mechanics, as it were. And then we hear the reverberation as it goes out and forward through air and eventually through certain different types of space and molecules. But we ourselves take vibration and we create vibration. And a lot of the yoga practice is about kind of tuning our instrument. And if any of you are singers, and really all instrumentalists, but especially if the instrument is literally you, it can be really difficult to figure out how to tune something that you are, right? Because you don't have an outside perspective, as it were, right? There's no fourth wall to break, right? There's no external audience. That's the same thing with being, I guess, like a performer who has to self-direct, who creates original performance art, etc. It's really hard to get an outside perspective. And it's kind of interesting that we're practicing in this way with this screen, which is sort of this faux idea of an outside perspective, that we could watch a recording of ourselves or that somebody else can see this image of us. I just want to remind you that that resonant energy, that like way that you are, it just like a cello can play an incredibly sad pitch in A minor or chord in A minor. The cello is not the chord, right? The cello is able to let the vibration move through and out. But if the cello needs to access it again, it can, right? This is how abundance leads to non-attachment. In times like this, it's hard to talk about things like abundance. But when the sun is shining and spring begins, just remember that you have power, right? That there's possibility and space, even if it's just through a pinhole in the curtain, as it were. And start to take a little bit of time to notice vibrationally how you're interacting with yourself and how you're tuning your instrument, what your instrument really needs to tune. Remember, you'll always be tuning it, right? The nature of living, of playing the instrument, takes it out of pitch, right? The nature of experience and friction, of just literally holding the vibration itself, depitches us. So we have to reset again and again. And this is Pratipaksha Bhavanam. This is intention. This is Sankalpa. This is focus and Dharana. So anytime that you can today, I just suggest you let this be a breathing practice, because that's our point of focus, our drishti. You come back again and again. How is the breath right now? How am I breathing? How does it feel in the now? If that's not for you, do the work that is. Let's begin by uniting with 3 rounds of the seed sound of Om. I offer Om again vibrationally as a secular chant, the sound of the universe, to acknowledge our interconnection with each other and with all things, our efficacy inside of that network. If Oming or chanting isn't for you, please feel free to sit with us in presence instead. Otherwise, you might adjust your seat a little bit, let your hands find a relatively neutral place to sit, and close your eyes, or perhaps gaze down at one spot on the earth in front of you. To clear and prepare the energetic channel of your body, take an inhale in through your nose, and open mouth, exhale, HA. Inhale, prepare for Om. Take a long inhale in through your nose and a slow exhale out through your nose. And let's begin in Balasana, posturally in child's pose. So remember, if the shape isn't for you, you don't have to even begin there. But if you're headed towards it, hands and knees might be the way. You could bring your toes close, and your knees could be wide or together. You can always set up on props, pad your knees, and sit with a block between your hips and your heels, or roll up a towel and put it there. Same thing with the head coming down. Sometimes a stack of books or blocks feels nice underneath your forehead. And take the arms out long in front of you. The head could also hang to gravity. The head could also hang to the earth. You could also choose to take your hands back behind by your ankles and let your shoulders down. If you get into the shape and it's just not sustainable, it's not somewhere you're going to be able to study your breath for a few minutes, feel free to change it to make a different choice, which might include lying on your side or lying on your belly or your back. Close the eyes if it's available, or pick a spot to gaze at. Visual focus is one of the ways we teach ourselves to focus. Right? When you go to the eye doctor, you look at the chart, not somewhere else, to figure out what to see. So start to notice what you're looking for, if there's any directed energy. And whenever we start to pay attention to our external sense organs, our sensibilities, we're trying to figure out how to use those in pratyahara and sort of turning the hallway and walking back down towards our internal point of view. We look inside often in the same way we look outside. How are you judging? What are you seeing? What are you looking for? What are the impressions and ideas and identities you have with what you see? Even if it's just the stars at the backs of your eyelids with your eyes closed or the flashing lights. Notice what you see and how you see it. There can be an ecstasy to paying attention. Pay attention to what you hear and how you hear it, what is close, what is far, what is distracting, what isn't. What do you taste and smell? What do you touch? What's the temperature sense? What's your proprioceptive sense, your squish sense? Where are you in space? What's your sense of time? And we start to move into our senses beyond the five, right? What do you intuit? What do you feel? It's energy, mood, quality, emotion, your ability to sense the sort of rasa or the flavor of things around you as well. Noticing your thinking mind. What are you thinking and how are you thinking it? And often we've identified with the thinking mind, or we do at some point throughout our day or lifetime. And so we need it, right? We use it for things in the here and now. And notice what you're thinking and how you're thinking it. And remember that, right, just like the cello is not that A minor chord, you are also not the thought that you are thinking. It is just the resonant energy vibrating with you. And as you start to figure out how you're going to sort of organize the band of you, right? You and your body, you and your energy, you and the things you're experiencing, those are your collaborators. Notice them come and notice them go. And pay attention to this fluctuation, just like you listen for the pitch to tune to, and you're listening to pay attention to how things are. And let's find Ujjayi breath. Exhale the air you have in your lungs, get a little extra empty, press the air out and away. And slowly begin to inhale in through your nose. Fill your belly with breath and then your rib cage, maybe up into your chest and collarbones, and hold it. Open mouth, exhale, HA. Inhale slowly in again through your nose and breathe into your back body, your low back and your back rib cage like a shell, your shoulder blades, and retain softly at full. Like a lion, open mouth, exhale, HA. Ujjayi pranayama, breathe in through your nose slowly. The liberating breath moves from bottom to top, from front to back, from left to right, and hold it. With lips sealed, sigh out through your nose, that HA sound, but through the nostrils. And continuing, inhale in through the nose, snoring and spreading. Exhaling out through the nose, emptying and sighing. And as you start to notice this breath, it's happening in the here and now, and it's happening all the time. It's an everyday miracle, an every moment miracle, right? You're able to take in the oxygen that your body needs to create its system of function, your earth suit in this space and time. You're able to offload the CO2 that you don't need. You're witnessing it again and again, a fluctuating experience, an energy that collaborates with you, that vibrates with you. And as you start to churn and create the breath in this way, as you start to sort of write the piece of music in collaboration, begin to draw yourself slowly upward and forward. Begin to move. You might shift from side to side. You might roll your forehead out on the mat. You're headed towards tabletop in the next few rounds of breath. For the few of you who are into my sort of corny music playlist jams, you might hit play now if you haven't already, and start to breathe and move through time and space in a way that addresses what's real with you. So it might be really something you know will work. You stretch in this way because it addresses something particular that you're feeling. It might be a little more dance based, something that feels good based on energy or expression. You might just be wiggling to notice, letting yourself find a little freedom and a little less structure. Sometimes that's the structure, right? Free time. That's a form of structure unto itself. Breathing as you go in the Ujjayi pranayama form, inhaling and exhaling. The next 3 or 4 rounds of that breath, we'll draw back to meet in hands and knees position and tabletop shape. And once you've stacked your shoulders over your wrists, spread your fingers wide and turn your pointer fingers forward. Instead of your middle fingers, your biceps will turn out a little bit and you can plug your shoulder blades into your back and knit your front ribs in a little. You don't have to get extreme. You want the ribs to still be able to move, but a little bit of Uddiyana Bandha action. Inhale, bring your right leg back and long. And on your exhale, bend your right knee and take it out to the right. Flex your ankle. Good. Take it back. Inhale, stretch your leg long and your heart forward. Exhale, bend your knee out to the side, flex your ankle. Fire hydrant is what people call this. Inhale, take your right leg back. For lack of a better name, I guess I'll call it that too. Exhale, bend it out to the right. Good. One more time. Inhale, reach back. Exhale, bend your knee out to the right and keep on going and put your right foot down outside your right hand. You can come up onto blocks if you need to, or onto books if you'd like, or sturdy water bottles. We're going to try to circle in the hips. So take your right knee and bring it towards your right shoulder. They might even touch and push them together. And then just like we roll around the wrists, inhale, shift your body weight forward and to the right. And exhale, back and to the left. So you can let your knee bend and unbend, but you're sort of making a circle and involve your back thigh bone rolling in your hip socket as well. You can start with small circles. Maybe there's more range of external turnout motion depending on your body. And also come up under the ball of your foot, flex your ankle and see if it changes anything. Good. Press into your hands. Inhale, sweep your right leg long and back behind you. And exhale your right knee towards your nose, your chin towards your chest, your shoulders round. Draw your navel in. Inhale, take your right leg back. If it feels good, you can also take it up into backward bending. Try to straighten the leg if you do. Exhale, knee to nose, round in. One more time. Inhale, reach your leg out, back, and long. And exhale, knee to nose, navel to spine, curl in. Inhale to reach. Curl your toes under and exhale the ball of your right foot down onto your mat. And then you're just going to pump your ankle a few times back and forth, stretch the arch and the ball, and bend your knee a little to do this. Sometimes that helps you get into a more deep point of your calf muscles, which tend to be kind of congested. Usually our tight hamstrings kind of keep our calves from getting much of our stretching action. When you're ready, next couple of exhales, lower your right knee down to meet your left knee and return to tabletop. Press into your right hand. Inhale your left arm out to the left, up overhead, reach up. Exhale, thread the needle underneath and behind. Come down to shoulder, ear, or jaw. And breathe here. Now you're welcome to take your right arm up or over behind the back if you wish. Sometimes up and over also feels nice, or pressing into the ground. Sometimes also letting it be more soft changes just where the effect is. If you feel like you want to cross your ankles or curl your toes to stabilize your legs, feel free. Breathe continuously in the Ujjayi form. That's really the only sort of like trick or tip I have, right? Breathing more, becoming more curious about the breath, making the breath more easy and kind. That's what we're doing. Bring your right hand back towards the mat near your nose if you moved it. And inhale your left arm back to the sky, out and then up, reaching upward. And exhale, two hands on the mat. Find your tabletop position. All right. As you press down into your hands, inhale, extend your left leg out and long behind you. And take a moment to pause and just notice, right? If you're all the way over or your hips all the way up and you don't mean it to be, you might move towards an idea of form, not for the point of aesthetic, but just so that you have a context of where you are in space. Take another big free inhale. And on the exhale, bend your left knee out to the left, towards your left shoulder, flex your ankle. Inhale, circle and sweep left leg back and long. Roll the hip down perhaps. Exhale, bend your left knee. You'll have to roll your hip up to squeeze it out. Inhale, send it long and back. Exhale, pull the knee up and around. This time, inhale, send it long and back. And exhale, pull it around and step your left foot outside your left hand. So it's still a pretty short stance. We don't need to be like in a super long lunge for this to be effective. Hug your left knee to your left arm or shoulder. You can do this high or low. And then make circles. You can inhale forward and left, exhale back and right. You'll have to bend and straighten your knee to give yourself a little space. You'll have to let your pelvis roll over your right thigh bone behind you. It might be small circles and it might be slow. We're just trying to find a little bit of compression in the inside seam and put a little bit of extension into smaller outside seam areas of the hip and thigh. And if you can, keep pressing the knee into the shoulder and the shoulder into the knee. You may find a little muscular Golgi leverage comes to you. All right. When you're ready, plant into your hands and inhale, sweep your left leg long and back behind you. And exhale, left knee towards the nose, chin towards the chest, round the spine, dome the shoulders. Inhale, send your leg long. You might bring your heart up into a back bend, your leg up. Exhale, round in, draw your navel in and out. One more time like that. Follow your breath out. And really, in your own timing, follow your breath back in. Inhale to take your leg long. Exhale, curl your toes under. Put the ball of your foot on the mat and start to pump from your ankle forward and back. You might inhale forward and exhale back. And again, you could experiment with bending your knee. Get into your feet and your ankles a little bit. And sometimes these joints are a little less addressed, so it's sort of like driving down roads that haven't been repaved in a while, or cleaning out areas you haven't dusted in a bit. There's resistance there, but the work is still of use. Good, and let's return to neutral tabletop in the next 2 or 3 rounds of breath. And as you feel heavy and stable in your left hand, inhale your right arm out and then up, reaching upward. And exhale to thread the needle underneath and behind. Come down to your left shoulder, ear, or jaw, and breathe. Try to relax your neck. Try to avoid bracing with your head. Sometimes we kind of press into places that are sticky or strong or resistant. And your body is really made to create itself and destroy itself over and over again. Right? That same idea of fluctuation, constant cycling. And a lot of things sort of come up and we can't destroy what needs destroying quickly enough. And we can't replenish what needs replenishing well enough, right? An imbalance, as it were. Notice how it feels to seek balance and to seek a feeling of balance. And if you moved it, return your left hand to the mat near your nose and inhale to spread your right arm back to the sky, out and then up, reaching upward. Exhale to tabletop, 2 hands on the earth. All right, inhale, cow pose. Drop your belly ribs, lift your chin up, your tailbone up. Exhale, cat pose, round in, dome your shoulders, draw your belly in and up. Follow your breath. Inhale, cow pose, open the front seam. Exhale, cat pose, curl in. Inhale, cow pose. And continue with your own breath through these two actions. Everyone's lung capacity is a bit different. Size, shape, the training of the breath. We really just never want to fight. As we lengthen Ujjayi, you might consider this context of Samavriti, same fluctuating of your breath. Make the inhales sound like the exhales, a form of tuning. The exhales sound like the inhales unto itself. And finding that idea of balance is something we seek over time. Right? So it doesn't have to be perfectly phonic right away. You might have to take a little more time to listen, more time to train towards tuning, more time to slacken the string. When you're ready, on an inhale, curl under the toes and exhale into down dog. Spin your tail and hips up and back. Begin to breathe and move. You might walk out your dog when you get there, wag your tail, shift your hips from side to side. You can play around with what you're doing with your legs and feet. How wide or close is the setting of your feet? How lifted are your heels and engaged are your arches? How bent are your knees? And that joint action, just figuring out sort of like where you want your joints to be to feel neutral, right? How do they work against and with one another to create the suspension bridge of your body? Press into your hands, shrug your shoulders out of your ears, extending the shoulders. Since your hands can't press any further into the floor, we'll send your hips up and back. There's a back bend feeling and the tail rising. Draw the navel in and up as you exhale. Gather the floor of your pelvis up. Practice a hint of Mula and Uddiyana Bandha. Take an inhale to bend your knees and lift your gaze, and exhale to step or float to the top of your mat and hang in the ragdoll form of Uttanasana, forward folding. You're welcome to bend your knees generously, to flip your palms up. You might grab for opposite elbow, hang your head and sway. This is also a great time to interweave your fingers at the base of your neck and let the weight of your arms hang. Interweave your fingers at the base of your tail and let your arms hang. Breathe. Next few exhales, let your arms hang down out of any chosen grip. Choose your feet for sun salutations. You might keep them together. You might keep them hips distance. You might choose any point in between. Some people like to leave more room for their heels and their toes. Inhale, halfway lift. Feel free to bend your knees, flare your tail out, extend your spine like cow pose. Exhale, forward fold, round in. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, halfway lift. You can press hands to shins, thighs, blocks for more height if you wish. Exhale, forward fold, and it can be higher or lower than halfway. Good. 1 more time. Follow your own breath. Bend your knees, hang your head, and roll up slowly. Rise towards standing, the way that a new seedling unfurls its first leaves towards the sun. Take your time. When you arrive at standing, breath by breath, you might use a few exhales to roll your shoulders down your back, to suck your head in relative neutral over the rest of your body. You might choose to close the eyes or to look out on the horizon, pick a spot of no meaning or a molecule of air and space. And this is the thing about Samavriti, right? This is the thing about perfect pitch. It doesn't exist, right? We actually always have bleed through something else. There's always movement, always change. You can never really stay anywhere. And so the idea that you've landed on something that could be contained or continued is ever changing with how things actually are. Spinning planet, revolving universe. From a physical perspective, sama sthitihi, same standing on all sides pose, is just an action of trying to figure out balance. And when you do that, you may notice that you're always moving. It's just very small. You can make it smaller by softening and by paying attention, as opposed to by forcing, fighting, or managing. We're really trying to study the sense of samastitihi in every posture. And this is the simple form of mountain, tadasana, We're also trying to study how we stand in the cosmic resonance of everything. How do you stand with your community? How do you stand with yourself? How do you stand with your relationships? How do you stand with time? How do you stand with cosmic space? How do you stand as being sort of a part of the universe, practicing in the universe of the universe while being conscious of it at the same time? And that's what we're doing, practicing being human beings. On your next inhale, flutter your eyes open. Your next exhale, tune into what's around you, and slowly at first, sun salutation A. Inhale your arms out or forward, up overhead, Urdhva Hastasana. Hands can be wide or shoulder distance. You can also bring palms to touch. Look up if your neck allows. Exhale, forward fold. You can swan dive, arms out, or gather hands through heart center. Hinge at your hips. Good. Inhale, halfway lift, unroll your heart out. Exhale, hands down, step back to plank pose, upward push-up position, and pause. Take an inhale to shift forward. Exhale, knees to the mat, lower slow to the mat. Aim your heart to hit before your hips. Tops of your feet down. Inhale, Bhujangasana, Cobra. Peel your heart up. Stay up there for an exhale. Take another inhale to be inside of the shape. And use the following exhale to bring your upper body down. Curl your toes under from knees or toes. Inhale up through table or plank. Lead with your tail as you head back on the exhale to downward facing dog pose. Breathe. Press into your hands on the mat, your thumbs and your index knuckles especially. You might even test lifting your other 3 fingers off the mat and see if you can really load bear in those spaces. Breathe into your back ribs and side ribs. Inhale high on your tippy toes, please. Exhale, bend your knees. Inhale, look forward with tail high. And exhale, step, hop, or float to the top of your space. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms up, pose. Urdhva Hastasana, reach all the way up to standing. Exhale, Samastitihi, let your arms come down. Inhale, arms up, reach upward. Exhale, forward fold, dive all the way down. Inhale, halfway lift, unroll from the front of your sternum. Exhale, hands down, step back, plank pose. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale to the mat, lower all the way down, slow. Tops of the feet down. Inhale, cobra. Bhujangasana. Exhale, bring your upper body down. 2 more. Inhale, cobra pose. Exhale to lower and lengthen the back seam as you go. 1 more time, inhaling and exhaling. Curl your toes from knees or toes. Inhale up through table or plank. Exhale, sweep your tail high. Downward facing dog pose. Drive your heels down. Good. Inhale up onto your tippy toes. Exhale, bend your knees. Pause. Inhale, try to stick your tail higher up and press your chest more back towards your thighs. And exhale, slowly drive your heels back down as you try to keep your tail up that high. Good. Let's do it again. Inhale up on your tippy toes. Exhale, bend your knees. Inhale, press your tail up and your armpits back. Exhale, drive your heels down. Inhale to your tippy toes. Exhale, bend your knees. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, step or float, maybe tiptoe up to the top of your mat, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, unroll your spine. Exhale, fold in deeply. Inhale, arms up, pose, Urdhva Hastasana, reach to rise, inflate to stand up. And exhale, Samastitihi, return to neutral standing. Inhale, arms up, pose, Urdhva Hastasana, reaching upward. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana, dive down. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana, unroll to set. Exhale, hands down, step to plank pose and pause. Good. Take an inhale here, and on your exhale, put your knees on the mat. We're going to try going to upward dog from this knee down position. So start by bringing the tops of your feet down. And honestly, I recommend walking your hands back a little. And then take another inhale. And on your exhale, start by pressing your hips forward. Squeeze your glutes. Start to pull your heart through. Now, once you're here, kick into the tops of your feet and try to lift your knees up. Inhale to lift your heart up and gaze forward or up. And on your exhale, put your knees back down and press your hips towards child's pose for a breath or two. Inhale, tabletop, curl your toes under. Exhale, down dog, spin your tail high and your heels low. Inhale in and out through your nostrils. Doing a little bit of work into the middle back and the spine, the arches of the feet and the calves, working into some spaces that sometimes can hold or cause irritation and hold or cause sort of crankiness, etc. And just notice if that emerges, it might not be coincidental. Inhale, lift your heels rather, and on your exhale, bend your knees. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, step or hop to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms up pose, Urdhva Hastasana, reaching upward. Exhale, Samasthiti, return to neutral. All right, inhale, arms up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, hands down, step back. Chaturanga Dandasana, bend your elbows, lower about halfway. Inhale, up dog, or lower the rest of the way and lift through cobra. Exhale to down dog. You might have to sort of 1 foot at a time uncurl your feet. Breathe in through the nose, out through your mouth, HA. In through the nose, slow, fill your belly and back. Like a lion, HA. Ujjayi pranayama, breathe in through your nose slowly. Ujjayi pranayama, breathe out through your nose slowly. Take an inhale, lift high on the balls of your feet. Exhale, bend your knees. Inhale, look forward, load your hands. Exhale, step or hop lightly to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms up pose, Urdhva Hastasana, reach up. Exhale, Samasthiti, return to neutral. Last one. Inhale, arms up pose, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Chaturanga on your exhale, step or float and lower. Navel goes up, you go down. Inhale, upward dog or cobra as an alternative. Exhale, downward dog pose. Strong arms, soft neck. If you feel the backs of your shoulders meeting strength, compression, stuckness, you might widen your hands more, spin your thumbs a little more forward and out. It doesn't always work, but sometimes it's just a way of building a new pathway of going around where your bones meet one another. Take an inhale high on the balls of your feet. Exhale, bend your knees. Inhale, look forward, load your hands. Exhale, step or float to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, arms up pose, Urdhva Hastasana, reach to rise up. And exhale to Samasthiti. The arms find neutral. All right, inhale your arms up overhead, reach up. And exhale, forward fold, dive all the way down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Let's do Padangusthasana. So widen your feet 6 to 8 inches apart. Take 2 peace sign fingers around each big toe. You are welcome to bend your knees to get down there. Inhale and roll your heart to set. And exhale, bend your elbows and pull. Breathe as you draw yourself in and draw yourself down. Good. Inhale like a half lift, unroll your heart. Exhale, release your hands out from underneath your feet. Soften your knees and step your left foot to the back of your mat, long, low lunge. Tent to your fingertips or draw your hands up onto books or furniture or blocks if you got them. Inhale, cow lunge. Dip your back hip, pull your heart up. Exhale towards cat lunge, straightening both legs, round your spine, tuck your chin. Inhale, cow lunge, lift your heart up, send your hips low. Exhale, cat lunge. Good. Follow your breath back and forth. Try to keep your right heel very grounded, even as you come forward into the compression of your ankle. You're always welcome to experiment with wider setting from right to left, with more or less movements to pause where your breath asks you to pause. The next time you're in the long, low lunge, pause. Plant your left hand down, earth or block. Inhale, right arm up. Twist to the right, gaze up if your neck allows. You are totally welcome to put the back knee down and do a different variety. You're also welcome to go higher if you know you want to do a different form of twisting. My suggestion is to twist your pelvis the opposite way. So left hip up, even as you roll your right shoulder up at the same time. Take another inhale. And exhale, release. Two hands to the mat. Inhale, plank pose. Exhale, side plank to the left. Forearm version is what I'll teach. You can come down onto your elbow and roll to the outside edge. You're welcome to any angle. You're also welcome to stay on your hand if you like. Try to get your head relatively in line with your rib cage and your pelvis. Breathe. Any setting of the legs that you like is just fine. We're trying to gain strength by putting pressure here. Right? That growing of compression means we need muscular strength to hold it. About another 10 seconds breathing. Forearm plank, or plank on the hands if you prefer. And come down to the forearms and draw your belly in. If you'd like, you can add a little bit of shoulder isolation or attempt these scapular push-ups where you kind of drop your chest and pick yourself up with your scapula. Sometimes I like to be distracted from the suffering by other suffering. It's always up to you. About 5 breaths here. Go ahead and slowly lower to Sphinx pose. Bring your hips to the mat. Lift your upper body up. You can walk your elbows more forward. If you need to be less lifted, there's a lot of pressure in your lower back. Take your hands and arms wider out to the sides so that your chest can go a little bit lower. You're welcome to keep your neck arched and your chin up a little. You can hang your head. Take an inhale, and on your exhale, bend your right knee and squeeze your toes up to your tail. Now kick the top of your left foot down at the same time. And notice that your pelvis usually twists. Your right hip is more on the ground and your left hip is lifting. Try to bring them back to even. Good. Take an inhale and exhale. Switch, right leg down, inhale, exhale, bend your left knee, squeeze your toes to your tail, kick your right foot down, and again, just notice how is your pelvis evening, breathing. My chaotic dog has found chaos in our house, as per usual. Good, take another inhale, and exhale, release your left leg long. Walk your hands down underneath your shoulders. Curl your toes under, and from knees or toes, inhale up through to plank position and exhale back to downward facing dog pose. Tail high and heels low. Nod your head yes and no a couple of times. Take an inhale in through your nose. Exhale out through your nose. Inhale, bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, step, hop, or float to the top, a condensed version. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Bend your knees, sink your hips low for Utkatasana, the fierce pose. Inhale your arms forward or up overhead. On your exhale, just see if you can sink down a little bit. We're just going to pulse. You're just going to bounce like you're riding an old bus that doesn't have good shocks. Stick your tail out, relax your shoulders. See if you can keep breathing like you find like the smallest little bounces. Apply Uddiyana and Mula Bandha. Gather things in and up so you can build heat at the center, that willpower, that I amedness. Take an inhale and exhale, fold forward, dive. If your feet aren't already, walk them out to hips distance, maybe 8 inches or so for Padahastasana. Slip up your feet and stand onto your hands. Inhale and roll your heart, and exhale, folding by bending your elbows out away from one another. If you can move your shoulder blades onto the back of your body, sometimes then your biceps can pull your rib cage down. Draw up on the quads and the inseams of your thighs. Inhale, unroll, half lift style. Exhale, release. Take your hands out from underneath your feet. Soften your knees and step your right foot back. Long, low lunge. Tend to fingertips or draw hands up to blocks. Inhale to cow lunge. Dip your back knee, lift your heart. Exhale to cat lunge, straightening both legs, rounding. Follow your breath. Inhale, cow lunge. Exhale, cat lunge. You're always welcome to experiment or linger. Think about what it's like to extend your spine while folding, what it's like to round, and just the different effects of what you're doing and why. And the next time your front knee is bent, pause and put your right hand down on earth or blocks and inhale your left arm up, twist to the left. And twist however you'd like, including back knee down. You might choose to kind of let your shoulder blades come into your back so you twist at center. Lift your right hip and butt cheek up, even as you twist your left shoulder up. Two things twisting away from each other in opposite direction. Breathing now. In through the nose and out through the nose, Ujjayi Pranayama. Your next available exhale, release. Two hands down to the mat. Step back to plank pose, upward push-up position. Side plank, right forearm is the base, roll to the outside edge. And as you find your stack, your version, you can do it how you'd like to, but breathe and notice. Even if you feel struggle, you feel the difficulty. How are you in the difficulty? Where is your body coping? Try to pay attention not only to the loudest sensation, but to the full scape of sensations. 5 or so more breaths here. Forearm plank, please. You can always do this work from the knees, especially if you feel like your lower back just gets overpressured. That some pressure in the lower back will be normal no matter what. Engage Uddiyana and Mula Bandha and breathe. About 5 rounds of breath. He said this teacher would say, I bet you could do anything for 5 breaths. It always sounded like a threat, so I don't mean it that way, but remember that you're strong, even in the face of difficulty. You are capable. And slowly find Sphinx pose, lower your hips down, lift your heart up, take an inhale to pull your rib cage forward and through. And then exhale, slow, walk your hands back underneath your shoulders. Curl your toes under, inhale through plank or table. Exhale towards child's pose, send your hips back, your knees down, your forehead towards the earth for a round of breath, inhaling and exhaling. Inhale, tabletop. Exhale, downward dog pose. Inhale in through your nose. Exhale out through your mouth. Ujjayi in through your nose. Ujjayi out through your nose. Take an inhale, prepare. Exhale, step or float to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms up pose, Urdhva Hastasana, reach all the way up. Exhale, Samastitihi, stand in neutral. All right, we're going to do Surya Namaskara B. Take a big free inhale. And exhale, bend your knees, sink your hips. Inhale, Utkatasana, fierce pose. Pause and breathe. We're going to do one round on each side, and we're going to stay in the postures for a moment. And again, if you'd like to pulse, you can. I know pulsing can be kind of strange. There's actually a classical context. Um, Desika the form of Vini yoga, where we do little pulses and waves. We're trying to move energy in this way. So you might think of every down pulse as an earth energy action. You're figuring out your apana. And every up bounce is a form of prana, right? You're creating an energy flow, a vibrational wave. Take another big free inhale. And exhale, fold forward, dive down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, chaturanga if you're choosing, step or float and lower. We won't hold this part. Inhale, upward dog pose or an alternative. Exhale, down dog. Step your right foot directly forward between your hands. You can grab it and pull it up. Spin your back heel down and rise for warrior one. You can climb up, you can rise up. As you settle low into your lunge, you can always have hands on hips, arms forward, arms up as classic. You might let your chest take up some space, backward bending a little by lifting your bottom front ribs up. Plug your heels down and find a little space to breathe. Again, you might find slight pulsing. I know it's, again, a new idea, but notice sort of if you are really tense at the edge there, you want to be soft at the edge. You have to back off to find enough room for that kind of action. You might back off from depth a little bit. Take another inhale, reach up. Exhale, hands down, step back. Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward dog pose. Exhale, downward dog pose. Step your left foot forward between your hands. Bring your right heel down. Inhale, rise. Warrior one, Virabhadrasana A. As you settle into the shape again, finding the time and space to notice how you want your body to be. Back leg straightening, front knee bending. Hips don't need to be square because hips are round and it's dope, right? Let them be that way. Instead, find stability in something that is in not symmetrical terms. How do you balance? Let your heart open up, your breath open up. If you haven't begun pulsing and you did it before and you want to do it again, begin now for the last few breaths. Exhale, hands down, step back, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha, up dog or an alternate. Exhale, Adho Mukha, downward dog pose. Take a big inhale in through your nose. Open mouth, exhale, HA. Inhale in through your nose. Like a lion, HA. In through your mouth like through a straw. Out through your nose, Ujjayi Pranayama. In through your nose, Ujjayi. Out through your nose, Ujjayi. Inhale, take your right leg up and back, 1-footed dog. Exhale, open your hip and bend your knee. Inhale, straighten your leg and reach it high. And exhale, step your right foot outside your right hand. Drop your left knee down. Turn your right toes out. You want to roll to the blade of your foot. If it feels good, be my guest. You can stay in your hands, come to a block, come to the forearms if you wish. Lizard or dragon. So if you want a different version, you could work on the splits form of dragon with a more narrow stance. You could work on half pigeon even, letting yourself roll into that shape. You're welcome to do something different, like a seated forward fold, butterfly shape, etc. You're welcome to add things like twists and quad stretches. We're headed to a little quad stretching after these shapes. Notice even when you're being still or seemingly still, How are things fluctuating? How are you riding the wave of change, of fluid experience of reality? Good. Press into your hands if you lowered down. And if you took a really wide stance, bring it back a little narrow and begin to straighten your front leg. Now, you're going to keep going back, so you might have to drag or scoot your heel until you can sit down, either onto or beside your left heel. You can roll to the right and roll your calf out. Good down dog, Albert. You're welcome to sit up on something. If your knee feels really tender, a block, especially underneath your right butt cheek, can be really helpful, but under either can be useful. And that will just give you a little bit of relief. We'll start by going forward. You can reach for your ankle or your foot. Your knee, your left knee says no, you listen to it. Otherwise, inhale and roll your heart, and exhale, fold. You can pull in your foot or your ankle. This is the Triang Mukha Ekapada Paschimottanasana. Has a long Sanskrit name, so you better fucking like it. No, I'm just kidding. Like, that's just the idea, right? You know, it sounds fancy, but it really just means like we're folding our leg in a certain way. All right, slowly inhale and roll your heart, and exhale, release your foot. Bend your knee and walk it back towards you. And you can hug right here. You might feel already like a little stuck. Your right butt cheek might lift off the ground. Working a bit into Kranchasana. So if you'd like to, you can lean back and take your foot up, grab your calf or your heel and start to straighten your right leg. It might not get towards straight. It might feel like it's pulling you way back or way forward. You might kind of feel that guitar string thing. Point your foot and use your heel as your handle if you can. Lean your chest back for this variation and look down the line of your beak in a bit of a snouty business. Good. Exhale, slow, release your right foot down. Slide your right leg out long, press into your hands, and let's go forward the way we went back. Curl your back toes under. Inhale, plank pose. Exhale, chaturanga dandasana. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. Good. All right, inhale your left leg up. Exhale, scorpion the dog. Open your hip and bend your knee. Hi, Albert. Inhale, straighten and reach, leg high, back and long. Exhale, step your left foot outside your left hand. And lower your right knee down for lizard or dragon. And again, you can stay on the hands. You can turn your foot way out. You can stay up high. You can do back bending work. You're welcome to stay more narrow or lower yourself more down. And always the alternates are yours. Feel free to be creative. I think it's always good to do that, right? Whether you're seen or unseen, to make the thing your own is really just saying that you feel comfortable enough in community to take this and use it for what it's intended for your needs, right? For what makes you heal, for what makes you capable. Allow that to be true. Right? It's not about following a conformative norm. It's not like looking one way or doing it one way, right? A liberation practice, right? How are you freeing yourself? A few more breaths in this variation. Notice how the breath is. Are you still breathing in that ujjayi quality in and out through your nose? And slowly press into the hands if you lowered. You took your left foot way wide, narrow it a little bit, and start to straighten your front leg and go back and keep on going back. You might drag your foot or scooch it. And you can sit inside of your right heel. And again, you might sit up on something. It's going to be a lot in the knee, so if it's not for you, feel free to even stay lifted and just not go that far. Figure out where the action is. If folding forward feels feasible and good, reach for your left foot, ankle, or calf. Inhale and roll, and exhale, folding and breathing. Good. Inhale and roll, and exhale, sit up. If you fold it down and begin to bend your left knee and plant your foot. You might reach for the foot with the knee with the hands or hug around it and lift your heart up and get tall and take that same sort of tall chest. You want to work towards crown chasana or the crane. You might grab for your heel or the back of your calf or knee. Start to extend your leg up and lean back. Point the foot, press to the ball of the foot. Flex the ankle, flex the toes rather. It's all flexion. You're doing a pointing is sort of the common term. Every once in a while, a doctor reminds me that pointing is also called flexion. Take another inhale or two and exhale slowly. Release your left foot down. Take it out long and walk yourself forward towards it. Plant the hands, and let's just find tabletop position this time. You can take a few cows and cats and roll your neck around a little bit if you wish. Shift a little from side to side. When you're ready, either cross the ankles behind you or take them off to one side. Bring your pelvis to the mat and your legs out long in front of you. And as you're ready, you can roll all the way down onto your back and hug your knees into your chest and give yourself a good squeeze. I'm going to offer that for these last few minutes of practice, hi Albert, that you do what you need to do, which might mean that you spend 5 or 6 breaths back bending and then 5 or 6 breaths twisting. For the next 12 to 15 breaths, do what you need to do. It might mean that you lay down sooner onto your back. You don't need anything. It might mean that you divide at that time differently. It might mean you do a posture I haven't mentioned, like plow or shoulder stand, or you start to set yourself for Viparita Karani, the legs up the wall action. And however you choose to resolve, don't take too long to think about it, as it were. Let it be a little bit of a spontaneous plan based on how you feel. We'll head towards resting in your own timeline. Again, you might go over to a friendly couch and rest. We'll probably finish about 11:35. It's about 11:31 or so right now. So if you have a timeline, that's just so you can assert it actively for yourself, which might mean choosing to like turn off your computer now and peace out, or to mute it so you can rest longer if you wish to. And once you've settled down into whatever form of resting is best for you, allow yourself to stay, right, as it were, to be where you are. You could always choose to take a meditation seat or rest on your side instead of on your back, and always support yourself with props. It can be how it needs to be today, right? No matter how it's been before. Often we rest in the corpse mudra on the back. You might close your eyes or pick a spot to gaze at the sky or on the ceiling. Get out any last wiggles whenever you do arrive there, any last futzes that you need to complete or that just need your attention. And settle in relatively for sustainable resting. We'll rest in this way for a few minutes, after which I'll call you up and out so you can return to action. Until then, in the body, in your environment, in your thoughts, in your emotions, in your energies, in your sensations, pay attention to how things really are. Sahana vavatu, sahano bunaktu, saha viryam karavavahai, tejasti navadi tamastu, mavit vashavahai, om shanti, shanti, shanti. If you are lying in rest and wish to remain so, or sitting in meditation and wish to remain so, do. If the time has come to return towards the karmic stream of interaction, begin by returning your awareness to your breath. Notice it as it gently rises and falls. Notice your heart beating in your chest. And as you notice these movements of the internal body, you might spread them into intuition, into action in the external body. You might breathe deeper and longer and slower, wiggle your fingers, scrunch your face, move your tongue over your teeth, stretch out or up. It can be very subtle, slow, small, very practiced, habitualized, very active or large. Next 5 or 6 slow rounds of breath. Pick an exhale to gather your knees to your chest. Slowly roll onto your favorite side and take a moment in this process of recurling in to the seed pod shape to practice gratitude for the contributing factors on the timeline to your practice, the things in the past of the timeline that allow you to be here today, the Big Bang, the development of our solar system, the colliding of stars, the planet ecologically developing, the ancestors that came before yours and those of the land that you occupy. You might notice teachers of all kinds, knowledge of all lineages. You might practice gratitude for the things that have been difficult, the things that will be difficult. You might also think of this as one of the things that you could count in the future, right? The many practices you've done before, your willingness to turn towards process with compassion, empowerment, peace. When you're ready, very slowly draw yourself up to a tall seat and we'll seal in practice together. As you slowly transition over the next few breaths, that's a traditional chant in the lineage of Krishnamacharya. I learned it in the context of studying Ashtanga Yoga and studying Yin Yoga. The overarching meaning of the text is about togetherness, learning together, or being in commune with the deity together, right? Both contexts are part of it. But may we together be protected, is what it means. May we together know joy. May our work together for the betterment of all be brilliant. And may we not fight, hate, or dispute with one another. May our work lead us towards cosmic peace. And if you wish, enfold your hands in the Anjali Mudra, symbol of that peace, the idea that things have a disparity in our view, but in reality, they meet on the spectrum of everything and become one. Thank you for your time, your energy, your willingness to practice. If you wish, you can bring your thumbs to your third eye, acknowledging the mind's wisdom to pay attention to the heart's experience. If you wish, you can bow to yourself, seal in your practice. Thank you.